is Christmas in the Islands, the holidays in the islands on Amateur Hour. This is a fun one. I always have a tired lead, and you know that. And we're glad you're back with us. We're glad you subscribe now. You're one of the 3 subscribers globally. We appreciate you 3. You'll get your Christmas cards, your Hanukkah cards, your Kwanzaa cards from us. But it turned out that as Danny and I produced this show, I'll put an I in there because Danny usually produces, but we got a second guest as we try to work our way through final exams, try to work our way through athletes going home and respecting sports information directors and not reaching out to athletes on our own because nobody likes to do that. We love our SIDs on this podcast. We love you. So we kind of put a lot down, but we ended up with an Island Boys podcast. That's the best way I know to put it. Caleb Lomavita, we've loved for a long, long time. He's at Cal. He was a champion at COVID Jupiter in 2020. He's a catcher. He's a good one. When you look at where he could and should end up, taking a look at the prediction, second round maybe even higher if he plays his way that way. So our first guest, Caleb Lomavita, a good get by you because there's a lot of culture and character and depth. He's a real deep kid.
He is, I think, what I love the most, and you don't know this about a person until you talk to them and have a conversation with them, but it's very, very quickly understood that he has to be one of the most thoughtful people we've come across in a long time in the way that he speaks about others. You ask him about himself, and he's not deflecting, but his first instinct is to praise those around him. And the way that he navigates his position on the field, which is the field general, of course, but also just in his relationships he's built with people and realizing how important that is. I was taking notes from him, learning a little bit more about the way in which he spoke about people, I think was outstanding. I took that away, and I think any major league team would value that at the highest level and what he's been able to do. And I really enjoyed that part of our conversation the most, just honestly learning while I was listening to him.
And I think speaking of major league teams and scouting directors, our second guest from Aruba, who plays junior college, a JUCO bandit at Northwest Florida State, Kendrey Maduro, who has been on the PG landscape since he had the courage to move here right after the pandemic and play at some PG events at a baseball academy, TNXL, and then goes JUCO for 2 years. You have a Hawaiian, you have a young man from Aruba who played for the Netherlands 18U national team. He's another one. A lot of you might not have heard of him. And it's a conversation you're going to love to hear because how do you have the guts to do what he did? How do you have the courage to go from Aruba, which I said during the interview, Aruba folks, and this is my own fault, I'm not someone who has a handle on geography, but Aruba is not just a quick boat ride, from the Keys. Aruba is basically North Venezuela. So to have the courage to go to Florida, then to go up into the Florida Panhandle, and then perform, he killed it in the draft league last summer. So he's going to get drafted. It's just a matter of how high. I loved him. He loves his family. He was willing to do it. He's home for Christmas, and he took the time with us. I'd be curious your takeaways from Kendrey. It was a high level favorite conversation of mine.
He's so shaped by his surroundings and his family, and I think that everything he does is for them and is for the place that he grew up and the place that is so important to him. Like, it feels like his heart, while his family is there and he goes home for Christmas, when he goes and plays baseball, like, his heart is always at home. His heart is always thinking about home, and he's doing it for them. And I kind of got choked up listening to him talk about his dad, honestly, and the lengths that his dad has gone to be there for him. And it's not easy, right? We see this all the time when we are covering the summer circuit and we get to know the families, and it's mom or it's dad or sometimes both, but usually one parent has to work, and that's here on the mainland in the United States. And we're talking about a family, and you just described the geography, and dad does his very best to be there for everything. I mean, that just hits you and reminds you of the ultimate choices and sometimes sacrifices that people are making for their dreams to come true. So I was motivated listening to him and tugged at my heartstrings.
Caleb Lomavita, Kendrey Maduro, college baseball in the spring, one at Cal, one at a JUCO, Northwest Florida State. Both are headed to professional baseball. You're going to meet both of them now.
This is my very first time getting a chance to meet and have a conversation with Caleb Lomavita. And I love your name, Caleb, first and foremost. And I'm excited to hear about where you're from and your journey. But your name is more than just Caleb Lomavita. I would love if you could, for us, tell us all the parts of your name. Say them for us, if we could start there.
Okay, so my first name is Caleb. It comes from the Bible. And my middle name is a long one. It's Hawaiian. My grandma gave it to me. It's Kaimi Kale Pomai Kai. And you can't ask me what it means. I'm going to have to ask her. It's too long for me to know. But my grandma did come up with it. I think she had a dream about it. And my last name is Tongan from my dad's side.
Okay, so I find that so interesting, and I think names are important. We often tell the athletes we're working with to tell us how to pronounce their names properly. We want to say your name, right? Your parents gave you that name. You mentioned your grandmother as well. What does your name mean to you? Let's start with each part. Let's do first name, middle name, and then last name.
Caleb is what I go by from day-to-day basis. I mean, everybody knows me by Caleb. My middle name is a little more deep. The close ones, they know that name, and they know that side of me. And if my parents call me by that name, it's either I'm in trouble or it means that I've done something good because I've gotten the recognition. My last name is the name that I play for. My family, they're huge to me, and Lomavita is always going to be on my back, and everyone sees that name while I'm playing. So I try to play for that every day.
And D, one more along those lines, if I could. You have the opportunity to play on the mainland, which I know is incredible for you and for your family to be over here. The dreams exist much bigger than I'm sure at Cal. But when you play for the name, on the front, and of course for your family name, what kind of feelings come up when you get to take the field with your last name and your family's background and what you represent, right? Playing college baseball at the D1 level. What kind of feelings come up when you get to do that?
It started back in Hawaii. I mean, we always put our last names on our jersey, and my dad always told me make them play for the name in the front and make them remember the name on the back. So I took that and played with it every day. And I started feeling their presence and their comfort and support while I was away every summer. I played in some perfect game tournaments without them. I would, they would send me up, buy one-way ticket. I would come play for 3 months every summer, and you really felt the support. I mean, they mean a lot to me.
Yeah, I can imagine, and it's interesting that the name on the front is going to change a lot. Like you now have that Cal logo, and you should be proud of it. One of the more unique and historical institutions in the world, really, if you think about it. But if you're drafted, and the name on the front's going to change, moving up the ranks, different teams, the Trash Pandas, and different fun minor league names. But the name on the back is never going to change, right? So, what are some of the standards of that name? Within the walls of your home, you have two siblings. What are some of the standards of the Lomavita name?
My parents always taught me growing up: discipline, respect, treat others the way you want to be treated. That was the golden rule growing up. I had two little sisters, and setting the path for them was important for me. I know that going out and doing everything on my own, all the eyes were on me from Hawaii, and especially from my sisters, and they mean a lot to me. I want to see them grow and succeed, and to set the path for them, it means a lot to me.
Carly and Camille?
Carly and Camille, yeah.
How old
one
are they?
15 and one 15 years old and 10 years old.
And what do they do for fun and for activities and such?
They both play volleyball. They might be a little more athletic than me.
Well,
yeah.
Come on now, you're a catcher, man. You know, I have been raised to bless the catchers. So, a couple years ago, when you came on with Hunter Pence and I on PG College Baseball, you were talking about heading into the Cape, and you know the fact that I loved how you said it. Like I was scared. You said you told us I was scared, and then I realized I looked around and they were putting their spikes on like me, and they were dudes that were nervous just like me, and I was there for a reason. So you've played there 2 years. And in those 2 years, I see 49 games. I see a 364 on base. Those are the best players in the country, and you're catching too a majority of the time every day. What has that experience been like? It's one thing to succeed in the pack; it's another to succeed at the Cape. Tell me a little bit about your 2 years in the Cape and what you've learned.
First year was a big learning experience for me, learning about myself, learning about great players and how they work and how they think of the game. I learned a lot from my teammates. Tommy Troy was a big mentor of mine my freshman going into sophomore summer. Um, he kind of took me under his wing. He was a first rounder himself, and I kind of followed his footsteps and just kind of picked his mind throughout that summer. I also got to work with Chandler Simpson. He was a second rounder. He was a batting champ back in 2022, I believe, and I got to pick his brain. His the the strongest part about his game was his mental aspect. He taught me that every single time he went up to bat, if he couldn't mentally see himself hitting the baseball, then it wasn't going to happen. And he said he perfected it. He every single time he went up to the bat, he knew he was going to get a hit. So I took that from them. It started working for me. The mental game, I've improved tremendously. And I think once I understood that everyone around me was trying to do the same thing and we all worked our butts off to get to the Cape, everything else went smoothly and baseball just became a backyard baseball game again to me.
I love hearing those names. What is the brotherhood like? What is the baseball brotherhood like? You know, we're familiar, we're very familiar with Tommy, but in general, the opportunity to get to work with amateur athletes, for me, it's one of the best jobs, I think, and I try not to tell people how much fun I have because I don't want them to know that I'm not really working, right? I'm having a great time. What's that baseball brotherhood like for you?
The best part about being around baseball players is they're the most humble athletes I've ever met. Baseball is a big humbling game. They understand that at any moment in time, baseball will drive you to the ground. You can be at your lowest point at any moment. So speaking with them, they're patient, they are understanding, and you can just bond with them just because of how much failure everyone has gone through in the game. And I think that's where we can connect on another level other than other sports. Some have succeeded more than others, but we all play the game of failure. And it's a beautiful thing when you're playing next to a brother that has failed just as many times as you have.
It kind of makes you feel better, right? It validates, okay, wait, we're all
Yes.
failing this together. And I'll start
Yeah.
by saying when you look at your numbers from freshman to sophomore year, you doubled a lot of important offensive categories in the right way, right? Your power and your strikeouts went down by almost half. And so you did a lot of work to really start trending in the right direction. But if you don't mind sharing, maybe some of the ways that you were humbled in your freshman year that you've been able to transform and use and to catapult you the other direction.
Freshman year, I put a lot of pressure on myself, unneeded pressure. I was one of, I think, two freshmen in the starting lineup at Cal at the time. I did come out the gates firing. I hit a home run my first game. And I think with that, I started to put a lot of pressure on myself. I set my standards high often.
Mm.
So that wasn't new to me, but I was playing at another level with a bunch of new guys, a whole new coaching staff. So I knew I had to play with something to prove. Um, it wasn't until that summer in the Cape and the beginning of my spring of sophomore year that I realized that I finally just needed to let loose and play the game the way I was playing it back in Hawaii, where I've been playing it since I was 4 years old. that was a difference maker. Once I let loose and started to think positive about things, I started doing this thing where I spoke to myself in the third person just to feed myself positive thoughts. Uh, Loma don't strike out. Loma hits home runs. And
Love.
it was funny. It was funny at first, but my teammates really just got a kick out of it, and it began to stick. Now before I go up to bat, somebody will ask me, "Hey, Loma's ready to hit." Loma got it. Loma got it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, my mental approach to the game has completely changed. I fell in love with failure, and I think some of the guys uh, that I'm playing with really need to learn that, because if you don't learn that, this game is just going to beat you up.
Great answer.
Catching, mechanics. How have you evolved there? We had a great talk with Jacob Kozar. I don't know who he is. He's been on this podcast, recent episode. We got into the mechanics of it all. I've had a chance to connect with a lot of catchers lately for some reason. It's been fun. As I've shared, I love them. I was a pitcher. My father was a Hall of Fame pitcher. I love you catchers. But the game has changed mechanically a little bit. Obviously presenting the pitch is important. Down up is important. Choosing when to drop that knee down to give your body a break a little bit. So how have you evolved defensively, and how do you make those decisions physically?
Yeah, Jacob's a great catcher. I've seen him play. I got to play with Cannon Peebles, and he also played at NC State. So he told me a lot of great things about Kozart. But catching really wasn't my main point until I got to Cal. I was a pitcher center fielder at the high school I played at. I did get to catch in the Perfect Game World Series down in Fort Myers. But yeah, I got here. Chad took me under his wing and taught me the ins and outs of catching the low pitch, how to block a ball properly. And I've learned all the fundamentals, and this year we're trying to apply it to where I don't really need to think about it. So my mental approach catching wise is catch like I'm a shortstop. Be as athletic as possible, control the game. My hero is Yachty, so I love the way he controls the game and understands how to get outs when outs are needed, how to slow down the pitching staff. So being a shortstop back there is important for me.
Man, Yachty, I tell you, if it were like a presidential election and I talked to all you young catchers, he'd win in a landslide. I was so excited when I talked to TCU catcher Carson Bowen, and he finally mentioned Austin Barnes. He was like, yay, someone besides Yachty got mentioned. I was so excited. But and obviously Barnesy for his receiving skills. And this is just a thought. I want to throw this out there. You're very good at something, and you've done it several times in this conversation. And I almost regretted mentioning Kozart, because you're very good at lifting others up around you. You actually, you answered the question I asked about you, and you lifted up Kozart. You lifted up the guys in the Cape. Keep doing that. That's a really good characteristic to have. Because as you said, baseball, we're either staying humble or we're about to be humbled. That's exactly how baseball works, exactly. Man. Hey, hitting too. The one thing, and this is the third time we've interviewed radio. We did some stuff with Hunter. But the leg kick always comes up. Where are we in that process? Kind of a hanging leg kick, drifting forward. Hunter loved it when we talked a year ago, but it still creates that short, kind of compact, powerful swing. Is it still a part of your approach? Just give us an offensive update.
Yes, I actually changed my batting stance in the Cape my second year, and it worked. I didn't end up bringing it back to Cal, but I did learn a lot from that swing. And two things I've taken from that swing, which was the wide no leg kick, was how to keep rhythm, and that I'm athletic enough to maneuver my body in ways that I didn't know I could before. So the leg kick's gonna stay this season, and I believe that it's not a timing mechanism for me. It's more of comfort. It's a little bit of a swagger thing. I think when I play, I kind of need to have that swagger in my arsenal. So it's comfortable for me. It works, and it's here to stay.
Oh my goodness. I love so many things that you're saying. I think my last question, Caleb, is something you mentioned earlier about maybe between your freshman and sophomore year, bringing your Hawaiian roots and reminding yourself of how you played. And I think one of my favorite things about meeting players from Hawaii and athletes from Hawaii is just this spirit, and don't mind my doorman, this like spirit of what it means to play from Hawaii and bring this almost freedom with you. And I don't know if there's a word for it. Maybe you can help us out here, but it feels to me like it's a common thread between all of the baseball players that I've met from Hawaii that say what you've said. Is there a word for it? And can you maybe go into a little more detail about what it means to play and come from Hawaii? What that means to you?
It's aloha. It's love. Playing for the people you love, it gives you strength. At the end of the day, when you don't want to go to the baseball field, it's what pushes you. And my drive is my family and my love for my family. So everything that goes my way or doesn't go my way is for them. And I think that aloha really embodies what it means to be a Hawaiian baseball player, and to take it from the islands and bring it to California. It's huge. It's what makes me me and helps bring others up around me.
So at Eva Beach, if I'm at home with you, are we going to Zippy's, Loco Moco, Country Style Kitchen? Which one is your favorite restaurant nearby?
Oh, once we get off that plane, we're going straight to Zippy's, and then we're going to Eva Beach Park. Yeah, we're going straight to the beach with the Zip Pack.
Tell me about Zippy's, man. I need to get there. Tell me about it.
Oh, you got to get the Korean chicken with white rice and mac salad. If you go 2 days in a row, you could get the chili with cheese and rice. That's number 2 on my list. And the oxtail soup is kind of slept on, but it's real good. It's real good.
Nice.
On a cold day in Hawaii, it's probably 70 degrees.
The folks at Country Style Kitchen want to remind you that they spell country, the word country, with a K, just to be different and to get your attention. And Loco Moco also is Hawaiian food as well. Zippy's, I heard there's one in Vegas. I heard a rumor there's one in Vegas.
They just
guys
opened.
Trip in January. I'm going to bring my buddies John and Rob. We're going to go to Zippy's. I will let you know what we think of it.
Oh,
am I invited?
No,
I better be invited.
It's a guy's house. No,
Caleb, we're gonna go on our own.
Oh, man.
All right.
Hey, by the way, is that you said sorry? What was the noise in your background in your New York studios?
It was someone buzzing the door.
Was it your doorman? Do you live in a doorman building?
No, not my doorman. It was a man at the door.
You have a butler?
Yes, I have a
Thank
butler.
you, Caleb.
He's right outside the door.
Thank you, Caleb. Now you know the kind of high-level host you're dealing with. She's got a doorman. Kendrey Maduro, I am super excited to connect with you. I actually had some of your biographical information from last year's junior college event that we streamed on Perfect Game TV. And I appreciated that, the questions that you answered. But we saw you at Perfect Game events as a younger player. So for you, when did you make the move? What makes it fun real quick, by the way, Kendrey? And thanks for hanging out with Danny and I. Let me start with thanking you for being here. What makes it fun is this is an Island Boys show. I mean, one is a little bit larger than the other. Caleb Lomavita is on this show. He's from Hawaii. He's a catcher at Cal. You're at Northwest Florida. You're from Aruba. So we have some culture. We're stirring this show up with some great island culture. When did you move from Aruba and start playing baseball in the United States? What age did that happen for you?
It was my junior year of high school, and it was after COVID year. So I had to wait for the airports to open again so I can go travel and go to the U.S. Actually, my first tournament was a WWBA in Georgia.
The courage that it takes to do that. You had played baseball, or you wouldn't have been making that move, and you went to TNXL Academy. But what pushed you? What nudged you to have the courage to make that bold choice? And for our non-geographical majors like me, I mean, Aruba is not right off the coast of Miami. Though that's a different country. It's just north of Venezuela. It is literally,
Yeah.
with his arm, he could probably throw it onto Venezuela. So that takes courage. What led you to do that?
Um, the love for the game and the want to be like be better and move on to the next step, next level.
Who introduced you to the game? I think, we, Darren and I know, have maybe a soft spot for those who come a little bit farther to play the game or are leaving their families and making these massive choices and sometimes sacrifices to play the game. So who introduced you to the sport that you've fallen in love with?
My dad, he took me to like a baseball field, and he started with me since I was 3. So I was playing baseball, swinging bats, catching balls since I was 3 years old.
3 years old, and you've worked now to this point. Is there a moment that you remember with dad growing up that sticks out to you, something that you carry with you maybe when you play, or maybe a moment that you realized and dad realized, hey, wait a second, we could go play baseball in the United States, we could play college baseball in the United States?
I mean, it was that COVID year, and because everything was closed, I couldn't practice, and he used to take me to batting cages, throw BP for me, hit ground balls for me, and of course I was like 16 already, so I hit balls hard. I used to hit balls hard already, and he was getting old too, so um, it was at that moment we were like, yeah, we want to take the next step, and then after the COVID passed, we took the first plane and we took off.
Wow. I mean, Darren said it real quick. I mean, the bravery that it takes and what it means for you and your family to do that, especially after COVID, which was scary and there were so many unknowns. You shared where you're from in Aruba, Post Chiquito. Can you paint us a picture really quick? Because I would love to hear a little bit more about where you grew up and what baseball looks like in Aruba.
I mean, here the youngest age is 5, 6, so like that's the normal age for like kids to start playing. And Aruba is a nice place. It's tropical. Like there's not usually some a lot of like hurricanes and stuff, and there's a little bit of rain. Like in these past days, it's been raining a lot, but besides that, we have a great climate, weather, and like every day is a beach day, and the beach is nice. It's really nice.
You talked about your dad. His name is Bernardo, a career police officer, if I'm not mistaken. So tell me a little bit about your dad's
Yes.
job and your relationship. I'd love to know about the two of you and your relationship and his unique job as well.
Oh my. So he's been a police officer since he was 19, if I'm not wrong, and he he's like more of a traffic policeman than like any department. And my relationship with him is we're really close. Like he's my best friend, and we've been through a lot too, like baseball wise. He was there for me every step of the way, and like he'll like if I play anywhere in the world, like he'll come to see me to play there. That's what I love about him too. And like every place that I've played, he was there for me, and he was there like most of the practice. He was there for me to um, practice with me. Like there was a time that he had a team and I played with him, and then um, I I moved. I switched teams so that he can watch me play and um, train me. So
It's incredible. It's incredible the dedication. He takes time from his job when he has to. Your mom's name is Magtulis. Did I say that correct?
Martulis. Yeah.
Magtulis. All right, good emphasis. Tell me about your mom.
Oh, I love my mom. She's from Venezuela, and so I have family there too. My grandma and my grandfather, and I have more family there, of course. But they are currently living there, and I have an uncle from Venezuela too that he's living in Orlando. But besides that, my mom came here when she married my dad, and they had my sister, and I'm not sure of how long they've been together, but they've been together for a long time.
Do you feel like good examples? And maybe I would guess yes. So maybe the next question would be, what do you learn the most from them, maybe off the field? It sounds like you are all very tight knit.
Oh yeah. Um, Mostly like they've taught me like good manners everywhere. Everywhere I go, I have to have good manners and treat people good. Like um, don't be too arrogant, or like don't be a bad human being to anyone.
I mean, yeah, those are great standards and great things that parents give us. So you're checking all those boxes, by the way. You are being all those things right now. But what happens when you step on the field? Who are you when you step on a baseball field and you put your glove on, or you put your batting gloves on and step into the box? What happens, and what kind of person do you become then?
My mindset, it just changes, and I want to be, every time I step on the field, I want to be the best one there, and I want to help my team, of course, to win. But to help my team, I gotta be the best one, or I gotta do my best job. And like now that I'm playing like in the States, away from home, I just think of making my family proud, everybody from here that's supporting me. They mean a lot to me, and every time I play, I think about them too.
How'd you choose Northwest Florida State?
Um, so when I was a senior, I had a I had a couple junior college offers, but at that time, Northwest was like top three, top five, and I was like, that's the best place for me. And it's close to Destin too. It's a nice area. Like they have nice beaches too over there. And yeah, I wanted to um take that step, and I loved it there. I love it.
What's this is a funny thing that I'm sure you didn't know this unless he shared it with you. Your coach Doug Martin, he's kind of like your parents. He has good expectations of you guys. He doesn't mess around, does he? So you know how I know this, Kendrey? You know how I know this? He was my college teammate. I played college baseball with your coach. So we played together. I'm way more loose than he is. Doug, you hear me saying it. Like, you are a disciplinarian, and you get the... But that discipline program and the things he expects, he's a very successful coach. The discipline that he has for you guys, it probably, you would tell me, you can tell me I'm wrong,
Oh
it
yes,
probably
yeah,
has
for
made you a
sure.
better baseball player, yes? Yeah, he's not there to be
Yeah.
your buddy. I mean, that's how you win. That's how you become buddies. So what went right for you? You're a right-handed hitter. You're a talented middle infielder. If I'm looking at your freshman year for Doug's team at Northwest Florida State, I see that you slugged .538. I see that you had 14 home runs. So as you look back on your year individually, I'm not asking about the team, but individually, how do you think you improved during your college season last year?
Like from like right now.
Yeah, what happened during your college season that helped you improve? Tell me how you improved throughout the season last year.
So at first, um, the starting of the season, I I was in the slump. I didn't hit as good, and then maybe 2 weeks or 1 week in, I started making some changes in my swing, and then I started like I focus on my swing a lot. I have a lot of insecurities with my swing, and I want to make it perfect, and I think that's like that can mess me up sometimes, but I keep working on it so I can be consistent. And then then there was 1 week I just popped off. I hit like homers in 6 games. Like every game I was hitting homers, and I was trying to stay consistent, and it worked. It worked like pretty well.
I have one more, Danny. Sorry, I want to jump in here. The follow up then is the draft league, because when I look at how you played in the MLB draft league, I see different numbers. I see a 600 slug. I see a 463 on base. Did you feel like you really flowered and bloomed then after you went through what you went through in the season, which ended up being a good year when it was over? But do you really feel like you really
Yeah.
blew up confidence wise? Maybe, as you said, some of those insecurities in your swing went away in the draft league?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like for in the draft league, playing with all those draft eligible kids, all those talents. I was one of the youngest on there, and it was it made me feel like really confident with my swing and with my talent and like everything.
I just noticed that when you said pop off, which I appreciate, I saw Darren's face, Kendrey, and I think you might have just taught him something new. He'll probably try to incorporate that somewhere. I can't wait to see where, but I appreciated you saying that. Hey, the other thing I know I love and I like fills my heart is junior college baseball. And Darren and I were talking JUCO Bandits, and we got to cover the Junior College World Series a long time ago, but I still talk about it as much as I can. I cannot get enough of it. And there's just something different. You guys are built different, and you play a little bit different. How do you think being a junior college athlete has impacted your game?
Um, it's like junior college. It makes everyone come closer together as a family. And once you're a family, like once you play with your brothers, like there's nothing can break you. And it makes you like want to win like everything. Like last year we came up short, but we fought till the last game, till the last out, and playing with all my brothers, like all of them, it felt really good on the field and off the field too.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to go back. My last one is I appreciate you talking about your insecurities with your swing or in that part of your game. I think sometimes it's hard, and especially to maybe two people you don't know that well, to share that and to be descriptive like that. How did you work through the mental part of that when you knew that you wanted to get better, but maybe the confidence wasn't quite there? What did you specifically do to make sure that while you were working through it, you were still staying mentally strong?
I mean, um, I would like I came too far just to come this far, and
Mhm.
I don't want to like let everything go, and I keep thinking about that to like never give up, because like not just myself but my family, my friends, they are my coaches, everybody that helped me along the way. They've done like a good part, like a lot, for me to be here or where I'm at right now. And I just think to myself like I'm not gonna give up till I make it. And it just helps me, and once it gives me the wants to like be better like every day and every practice. Every time I feel down, I just remember that, and it helps me a lot.
Great answer.
Yeah, and you know what's very cool is we're talking here and you're at home in Aruba. We all have one of these and we know what's good and bad about them. But to me, I'm guessing on one of these for you, your smartphone, I'm guessing you hear from a lot of people that are pulling from you, not just your dad. You talked about the coaches. You left friends behind, I'm sure. You're representing Aruba. You're representing
Yeah.
Aruba. And so I'm guessing you hear from a lot of people where you never feel alone. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Expound upon that. Who checks in? Your buddies, your coaches? Expound upon that.
I mean, right now I have a roommate. He's like my best friend. I've played with him since I was 5, 6, and he's from Aruba too. So we grew up together. We played on the same team. We played against each other. We played in the national in the World Cup with Netherlands together. So
Yeah.
we've played a lot, like a lot together. And now he's my roommate too. He's at the Northwest too with me. So I see him every day. I talk to him every day. We were on the field every day together, going to class. And but besides that, I talk a lot with my family, with my brothers. I have two big brothers, one older sister, and that's about it actually. And some friends
So
and my girlfriend.
so I'm inviting myself to your home. And I know your mom, your dad will be there. You talk about your siblings, maybe they'll be there. Tell me what we're eating. What are we eating at your home if I'm coming over for a Christmas time dinner? What are we eating in the Maduro house?
For Christmas time, um, we're eating ayacas. It's a thing. It's a Spanish thing. It's like tamales, but it's not tamales. It's like it's Venezuelan. It's like it's like cornbread, but you fit it in with like chicken, olive, and some things. I'm not sure, but it's really
Sign
good,
me up.
and they 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 make it especially for like Christmas time.
Sounds incredible, man.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible. I would imagine that's not what you're having on the van trips when you're riding around for Northwest Florida. So you better get it while you can.
Oh yeah.
Hey, my final question, and we appreciate your time. You were on the draft boards last year at 255, which is right around the 8th and 9th round. You had this kind of summer. We don't like to call this show a club, but what ends up happening is all the players we have on this show get drafted. How much are you looking forward to July? You've got to play this season first, and you've got to play well. But do you allow yourself to daydream about having your name called in the draft? And if so, what does it look like?
I mean, yes. I just imagine myself like last year I did imagine myself and it didn't happen, but like this year I'm gonna want it more and I want it to happen more. So I just imagine it being with my family here in Aruba and just there with everybody that helped me get there and that love me and support me.
All right, we'll put us in that group of people that support you, man. We care about you. We appreciate your time. You made our podcast, this episode, our last one of the year, a true island podcast. So we appreciate it, my friend. No matter how large or small our community is, as we continue to gain metrics on this show, I appreciate our community because we, as we're through the holiday seasons and then into the new year, we're glad we could drop you one last episode with some extenuating circumstances, not true struggles. Let's be clear, not unmitigated disaster struggles, but challenges, leaving family behind, making bold choices for baseball, and players that are going to fulfill their dreams and be professionals. So you're here every episode. We understand we're within the community. We definitely know there are a lot of scouts and scouting directors that listen. Don't be afraid to tell a friend, by the way, who's not afraid of great stories. I love the Island Boys, both very different. I'm guessing both have never met one another, and I look forward to someday when the Pirates play the Phillies in a game in August that they do meet one another, that they do shake hands, and they do get a chance to connect with one another because both in different ways showed a lot of courage to leave their families behind. One from another state, one from another country, But the Island Boys, it keeps us warm during Christmas. I love this podcast.
Yeah, there's always been a soft spot. I think anytime that we see somebody who has to come from thousands of miles away because they're chasing a dream. I mean, what's more inspiring than that, right? They are doing something that is really hard and maybe uncomfortable, and sometimes without their family right by their side. And I think that there's so many lessons that are intertwined into that, and they're a little tougher. I do think so. I think JUCO kids are tougher. I think that when you're coming from Hawaii and you realize that not everything in Hawaii is this beach and sunshine scene. I think that there's a lot more to it, and we're starting to uncover that a little bit more. And sometimes this is the opportunity. This is the chance. This is the chance to get to the mainland and play baseball and create this life that you're looking for. And we need more of these stories. I'm very much grateful for both of these guys for taking time with us and wrapping out the end of the year. I think it's a great way to end our year, end our podcast season. Please share our podcast, and Darren will send you something in the mail if you subscribe and leave a review. Subscribe, leave a review. Darren Sutton will send you something in the mail.
Bye. I will, 100% for sure. I'm leaving you with this SAP alert coming up. SAP alert coming up. What I loved about this is that we talked about food. We did it lightly both times with two athletes, restaurants in Hawaii, and a home-cooked meal in Aruba. I love that. But here's the thing. What I love about this time of year, no matter your faith, no matter how you celebrate, and we trust you're able to celebrate even on a very small scale, that you are able to break bread, have a grand meal, have the smallest of meals together, because food is one of those great uniters for all of us, no matter what we're doing, no matter what we believe on a day-to-day basis. Enjoy a plate of something with someone you love. We raise a glass to all of our listeners. Thankful for you, Danny, for putting this show together, for building it, for founding it, for coming up with the name. And 24, here we come. Peace, everyone.